Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Weekly Market Outlook, where we come to sit down every weekend to analyze what we have for the coming week and see what the markets have for us from the fundamental aspects and from also the technical analysis point of view. So, without us further ado, we go into the business of the day. Of course, the culture here is to always start with the fundamentals. From the fundamentals, then we'll talk about the technicals, which involves the top down analysis of every chart, okay, from the monthly, the weekly, the daily, and the 4 hour. And of course, here in Shift for Peace, we only deal in the higher time frames. Okay, so fundamentally, monthly, weekly, daily, and the 4 hour charts. So talking about the fundamentals, those of us that have been keeping tabs with this channel and have been following up, that's I've always made it a point of interest to look at the data coming out of the US economy. Okay, I've spoken about how I'm not too interested about data coming out from other economies like there's Great Britain, the Eurozone, Switzerland, and the rest. Okay, I'm actually looking at their data there because the ones that are more pungent right now, that's actually moving the markets heavily and actually having more impact on the market, is actually those data coming out of the US economy. All right, so as of last week, we had two data that were actually caught my attention, which is the non-farm payroll, okay, which came out as 139. All right, it came out as 139 as the actual figure. The expected was 126, and then the previous was 147. So I want to draw your attention to something. We've been taught in retail trading that once the figure comes out green colored, meaning it is good for the economy. No, that's not how we see it from fundamental analysis. What we want to look at is the drop. See, from the last actual figure, 147, there was a drop to 139,000. Okay, that's about how many? That's about 8,000 jobs lost. Okay, so being for it to be green doesn't mean that it is actually a good figure. All right, so we can see that we also got another negative figure added to all the negative figure we've been having previously coming out. All right, so another thing I want to look at is also the unemployment rate. Okay, it has remained steady. It has maintained a particular figure for a while now, month after month. It has been so. All right, that's not so good for the dollar. And then another key indicator is the CPI. Okay, the CPI. So mind you, all right, the CPI. Okay, I've not really been of major interest to the Federal Reserve, all right, they've not actually paid more attention to the that's the CPI report because they've actually done a good job in trying to drop the inflation figure from about 10% to 2.4. So they're very close to their target, which is 2%. All right. So much attention is not actually going there right now. They're more focused on actually the GDP and employment rates. All right. And of course, the tariff statements have been coming out of the US have also been having much impact on the US economy. Okay, so what we have in view for this session is the DXY, the AED USD, the USD CAD, the USD South African Rand, the JPY basket. Of course, always look at the JPY basket, and then the SZD JPY. We have the pound NSD, Euro NOK, pound CAD, pound AUD, and then gold. Now that we've dealt with the fundamentals, we'll just go straight into the chart. So come along with me. So guys, first on the list right here is the DXY, like I mentioned earlier. Okay, we've done this before. Like I said, since we are swing traders and we trade higher time frame, we're dealing with the higher sequence. That's the monthly, the weekly, the daily, and the 4 hour. All right, it takes a lot of time for something dramatic to happen to shift the market dynamics for this sequence of trading. Okay, so most of the analysis we've been doing for the past 3 weeks have almost remained the same. Okay, so go back to previous videos and see what we have done. If you have not been following, okay, I know how we got here. All right, so we can see that price is actually approaching this area. We've been anticipating price to come to this area. You can see that price is very close to this area here. That's on the monthly, and we're looking for price to bounce off this area and continue with the bullish momentum. Okay, so we go down to the weekly. We go down to the weekly. Okay, I'm not going to spend much time here because I've actually done this in previous video and it's just be like me repeating myself, and I tend to keep this video very, very short. Okay, so what do we have now? We can see that price is actually playing to gallery. You can see how price is, coming all the way down. So we expect price to actually move into this zone right here. What is something dramatic? Actually, we should be expecting the turnaround any points from here because we're actually low on the curve in the weekly time frame. Okay, so don't be surprised if price makes a turn from here instead of coming all the way to this green area here. Okay, so don't be surprised. So then we go down to the daily time frame. You can see that price have been okay. Have actually maintained the bearish momentum to the downside. You can see what price is doing. Price have come to eliminate this low right here. Okay, can we see that? Okay, thereby creating um, some further supply zones. So probably price may want to come all the way to this point here. Okay, and then before coming down here and then going up. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's see what price is going to be doing in the coming week. Okay, so on the 4 hour, you can see that price did something very dramatic last week. Price broke out of this range right here. Can you see this range? Price broke out of this range right here. So I actually anticipated that price will come here. I forgot to place a limit order around here. Okay, I actually missed this trade. All right, so we're actually looking for price to also still go further down. You can see what price have been doing, break to the downside, and then come all the way, and then we're expecting price to come down here. Okay, so that's it for the DXY. Okay, we go to the opposite, I like to call it the opposite currencies. Okay, AUD is one of the opposite currencies for the DXY. Okay, that's if you're selling, if you are buying the DXY, you are selling the AUD USD. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Okay, first establish that this pair is on a downtrend from the monthly. Actually anticipating price to pull all the way to this place here before actually continuing with the bearish momentum to the downside. Okay, we've established this earlier. Okay, so now looking at this also, we also established here that on this time frame, that's on the weekly time frame, okay, price is in a bullish consolidation. Why? Because price have actually done this. Okay, we can see price doing the whole of this. Okay, all right, and then continue. So we're actually looking for price to eliminate this zone, come here, and then continue all the way to the downside. However, let's keep our fingers crossed because price may also intend to create some bearish momentum. Just play around here, play around. We don't know how long it's gonna take, and then go to the upside. Like I always say here in Sweep for Peace, we are here to react. We're not here to predict. Okay, we react to what price is giving to us. Right. So then we go down to the daily time frame. Okay, from our previous videos, from our previous session, we also established that this guy is in a range. Okay, it is in a range. So we actually wanted price to break all the way up here, which gave us a little sweep of liquidity here, and then probably going to go down, go to the downside and keep going. But however, keep our fingers crossed. We want to see a shift. We want to see a shift on the 4 hour to come to a conclusion as to what price wants to do right here. And that shift will be price coming to actually take us out on these lows right here. Okay, before we can actually see for sure that okay, price is ready to go to the downside. All right. So we go to the next currency pair. We go to the next currency pair, which is the USD card, which also a sister pair. Okay, so what are we looking for price to do? All right, we can see that price have actually traded into, just like we anticipated from our previous session, price have actually traded into this green zone right here, which is the monthly sequence zone. Okay, and then on the weekly, you can see that price also is also in our zone. So on Monday, market open, I'm going to be placing a buy signal, a buy trade right here. Okay, I'm looking for price to do this, go all the way up. All right, so I'll be targeting a 1:3 on this trade. So I'll be trading from the weekly time frame. Okay, but I also try to be conservative. Okay, I also be looking for a shift in market structure, on the daily and on the 4 hour. We can see that this bearish trend line is still being maintained. Let's see what price is going to do about it. in the coming week. For those of us in the mentorship group, we know what's up, we know what we are looking for before we actually, you know, pull the trigger. Then we go down to the 4 hour. The 4 hour so is a no-brainer. You can see the 4 hour also doing its thing. All right, you can see what the 4 hour is doing. You can see that 4 hour is doing the role of this. Can you see this very clean price action? All right. So let's see if price will come and create, create some demand zone for us to buy into in the coming week. That's for the USD card. Okay. So the next is the USD South African Rand. You can see that still look price behave very, 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 very obediently. Last week I love what price did. Okay, for those of us that are following, you can see that price actually respecting our analysis. Okay, from the monthly, we established that the monthly is bullish. All right, we also established that the weekly is bullish. All right, and then so we're also looking for price to bounce off this zone here. We can see that price gave us a very solid candle last week. All right, and so we may see some bullish momentum to the upside. Look, I keep warning that if you are going to hold trade for the USD card, don't hold it for too long. All right, take what you can take and get out, because the US economy, the US dollar is actually very, very, very weak right now. Okay, it doesn't have the power to push to higher highs. Okay, so just take what you can take and get out of the market. We go down to the daily. Can we see this? All right, price actually came and played in this region right here. That was last week. All right, we can see what price did here and then came back underneath. So we can see that this zone on the weekly is actually holding, and this momentum trend line here on the daily, this momentum trend line has also been eliminated. Can we see that? So the market dynamics is changing on the daily for the USD South African Rand. Okay, then we go to the 4 hour. We can see that 4 hour is still also it's actually bullish, but in a bullish consolidation. Okay, all right. So we're actually looking for price to come out and clear this zone right here. Okay, before we can start looking for demand zones to buy into. All right, so I just spilled the beans. All right, so sorry to the mentorship students. That came out well. It's all for the good for everybody. All right, let's see how it's gonna play out in the coming week. Okay, so we go to the JPY. We go to JPY. Okay, that's the yen basket. Okay, you can see that just like we established that price have been in a bearish consolidation. Okay, why is it the bearish consolidation? Because it has failed to eliminate this zone right here. Okay, though even though it has broken this momentum trend line to the downside, okay, it has failed to eliminate this zone right here. All right, so the monthly is bearish. Okay, and then we go to the weekly. You can also see that the weekly is also bearish, also in the bearish consolidation. All right, even though we actually had some ideas around here, around this zone right here, that price may come down a little bit. If at all it's going to come and eliminate this zone right here, it may come down to play before going. So in a way, it is in a range. Okay, so that's why we are being very, very careful about this pair. I think if we check our Excel sheet, you see that it's neutral, neutral, neutral. On I think for the weekly and the daily also. But so we're going to present it later as we go further. Okay. So please always make reference to our previous video so you can follow. Okay, because we actually follow these charts one after another, one after another, time after time. Okay, and very, very slowly, okay, to see how market plays out. All right, so remember that I actually drew your attention to this head and shoulder pattern. Can you see this head and shoulder pattern is from the weekly time frame? Okay, you can see this head and shoulder pattern on the weekly time frame, all right, pointing to the upside. So price may come and you decide to respect the weekly head and shoulder pattern. Okay. Also on the daily, we had a head and shoulder pattern in the opposite direction. Can we see this? So that's why I say we have to stay reactive to this market and see what the market does. Okay, we react accordingly. Okay, let's see if price will come down here. Okay, first before going to the upside, we never know. So we remain reactive. Okay. So On the 4 hour, we also have the same thing playing out. Okay, market still ranging. All right. Okay, the deciding factor will be for markets to come and take out this level right here, this area right here. Okay, if at all we are going to go to the downside. All right, so let's just agree that this guy is in a typical range, okay, until the market decides further. So that's it about the yen basket. So of course, we don't trade the yen basket directly. We pick a currency related to the yen basket, all right, and trade that currency. And for we here, for about 4 months, for 4 weeks now, we've been looking at the NZJPY. Those of us that are around for a while, that have been taking the signals sent in the group. Okay, we can see that our analysis is actually playing out. Okay, we established that okay, this is a buy on the monthly time frame. Okay, and then on the weekly, it is also that's a bullish consolidation on the weekly time frame. Okay. However, I came out and mark out this zone the last time and said that price will have some reaction from this point right here. Okay. Even though we placed on the daily, you go to the daily. Those of us that have been following, you know that we've been in this trade for a while. See what the market did for us. It was last week. Okay. We are in a buy. I think we got up to 1 is to 2.8, and then the market reversed. Okay, but however, we're looking to trade into this zone right here. Okay, we still are still in this trade. We've been holding this trade for more than a week right now. Okay, so on the 4 hour, you can see what the market is doing. Okay, the 4 hour is bullish, the daily is also bullish. All right, so we actually entered our trade from this. Can we see this sign right here? This was the entry signal from here. All right, that was the signal. Those of us in the mentorship group know how we got into that trade. All right, so that's what it is for the NZJPY. The monthly is bullish, the weekly is bullish, the daily is bullish, and also the 4 hour is bullish. Okay, so now we go to the pound NZD. We go to the pound NZD, all right, which is away from the DXY and the JPY pairs. All right, so these are also independent pairs of their own. So what do we have here? From last week, we established that the monthly is bullish. All right, that price is heading to the upside. Okay, price is heading to the upside. All right. However, we also agreed that this zone right here is in control at the moment. So we have to respect the zone. Is in control. And we can also see this candle that I printed out. This was April's candle on the monthly. It's a bearish engulf. That's a bearish pin bar. So we're also looking for lower time frame. We're looking for bearish evidences to the downside. Okay. So come with me to the weekly. The weekly is also bullish. However, like I said, this weekly zone right here is in control. All right. So we'll also be looking for bearish evidence to the downside. For our range for the market is here and here for the weekly time frame. All right. So we can see that price is actually threatening us right here. We are in this trade right now. We're in this trade in the mentorship group. All right. So we are holding and looking forward to what price is gonna do in the coming week. Okay, so on the daily, we can see that on the daily we are in the bearish consolidation. Why? Because price have broken this momentum trend line to the upside, and it has been ranging here also. That's failed to eliminate this particular zone right here. All right, so we're actually bearish on the daily. Okay, so we actually took this trade. That was from last week. Go count with me: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we actually entered this market around this area right here. We got in here, so we had some decent profits for a while. All right, but of course we know our trading rules. All right, so once we enter the market, we allow the market to play itself out, okay, without interrupting our trade. So now this is what is happening. Okay, price has actually moved back into our danger zone. It has gone way beyond our entry zone into the negative side. But we're looking at the markets also still coming down. Okay, we're still holding our bearish bias for now until the market, invalidates our analysis. That's if the market at all comes to this area here and takes us out, then that's invalidated our analysis. But for now, our analysis is still good. So let's see what will happen as the market open later today and also in the coming week. So, of course, the 4 hour, okay, we can say the 4 hour is bearish. All right, that has also been established right here. So, if you have any further question, you can always know where to reach me. You can always leave a comment in the comment section. All right, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also like this video. So now we go to the next currency pair card. All right. So looking at the pound card, we can see something very interesting here. All right. So even though the pound card is bullish on the monthly, even though the pound card is bullish on the monthly, all right, it is respecting this zone right here. This zone is in control. This supply zone right here is in control at the moment. So we'll stop all buying activities and focus on the weekly. I mean on buy on selling opportunities. All right. So we go down to the weekly. Okay, we go down to the weekly. We can see what the market is doing. The market created an equal high right here. The market created an equal high up here. So we have a range now for the weekly. Okay, that's here and here. So we want to see what the markets will do. Well, probably the markets may come all the way down here and clear some orders before realign with the monthly, or it may decide to go down all the way from that's from here now. As if price comes in, does this and go down. So we keep our fingers crossed, okay, and see what price have for us. So let's go to the weekly, the daily rather. Okay, let's not forget the daily, the weekly is bullish. Still, the weekly is still bullish, but this guy right here is in control at the moment. Okay, so we go to the daily. You can see that okay, what's up? This what played out previously. When price came into this zone right here, we placed an order at this point right here. The market reacted to our order and gave us some decent profit. However, we didn't move to break even and we didn't close our trade. We held the trade, but the market came and took us out right here. Okay, took us right here. And then now the market is actually respecting this supply zone on the daily. Okay, so we can see that the market is actually playing out right now. Okay, so we're still in this trade right now. Let's see what the market is going to have for us in the coming week. All right, so guys, the daily is in a bullish consolidation. All right, so then we go to the 4 hour. Nothing much is happening on the 4 hour as that trade was actually taken from the daily time frame. Okay, you can see the market playing out, playing to gallery, playing according to our analysis, and we are hopeful that the market will actually come all the way to the downside here. All right, like I said, I've always said we stay reactive and see what the market have for us. So the next on our list is going to be the pound AUD. All right, looking at the pound AUD. Okay, so the pound AUD is also behaving like the pound card. All right, so that's we can see that the market is coming to react to this zone right here. This zone is in control. So even though it's on a bullish upward movement, all right, this zone right here is in control. So we stop all buying activity because our price is very high in our curve. All right, so we'll be looking for bearish evidences to the downside. So now we go to the weekly. You can see what is playing out in the weekly. This pair has actually been very very funny. All right, in the sense that it's playing some tricks. All right, with market structure. So on the weekly, it is bullish. All right, bullish consolidation. However, all right, so we're still looking for bearish evidences to the downside. You won't see not anything much here until you go down to the daily time frame. Okay, so now this is what is playing out. We've had this trade for getting to 3 weeks now. All right, because we entered this trade when we came in here. We entered this trade at this point right here. Okay, we entered this trade at this point right here. So the market did all this, almost came to take us out our stop loss here. It came down and then it's now heading upwards again. So now this is what is happening. Okay, that's why I always advocate for flexibility in this game. All right, so what is happening? On the daily, we have a head and shoulder pattern. Okay, head and two shoulders. All right, who knows what is going to happen next? Right? This is a pattern that is pointing to the upside, a bullish head and shoulder pattern. Okay. However, we have a supply zone right there, which we sold from. Right now, we are looking at what the market is going to do. We are saying our Hail Marys and hope that the market is going to go down. Yes, guys, sometimes a Hail Mary is a strategy. Okay, because we're actually having conflicting signals here. All right. So since we're in this trade, all right, we'll just stay put and see what the market is going to do. We did our analysis, right? And then allow the market to do what it needs to do. Okay, so the same thing is also playing on the 4 hour, nothing much, okay, nothing serious on the 4 hour because that trade was actually taken from the daily time frame. Okay, so we go down to the next currency pair. Go down to the next currency, which is actually a metal. That's what we're talking about, gold. Now, I did a video recently stating that see, every most investors, in fact, investors are actually pushing their assets into gold because of the turmoil we are having in the economic arena, the economic zone of every nation right now. You can see what is happening between Iran and Israel. It's plain as it's going to affect the markets. So in fact, it started affecting the markets already. So now we can see that the monthly is bullish, okay, and then we go to the weekly. There's something I want to actually drive at, and that is going to come on the daily time frame. So I'm not going to spend much time here. So look at the weekly. The weekly is also bullish, all right? It's a no-brainer, no arguments about this. Now we go down to the daily. Where we were actually expecting we can actually see some interesting, some interesting figures, some interesting patterns on the daily time frame. Okay, I explained earlier that look, guys, conventionally, this zone right there on the daily is a supply zone, and it's actually a very good entry to sell. Okay, technically speaking, yes, it's a good entry to sell. But because of what is going on globally, we will desist from selling gold. When I made that video, gold was around here. In fact, gold was here when I did that video. Okay, so a lot of people were actually, a lot of traders have been watching other, I see what is going around, it's going on around, and I come out to say one or two things once in a while. So I've advised the people in our mentorship group that look, can you see this zone right here? Yes, it's a supply zone, it's a clean supply zone, and according to our trading plan, we should place a trade on this trade. We should place a sell on this signal. Okay, however, I also came out to point the fact that look, gold, fundamentally, gold is a buy. It's a strong buy. So please stay away from selling gold. All right. Well, some people went ahead to place a sell on this gold, on gold here. All right. Well, I'm not the market. Okay. But I rather sit on my hands when it comes to gold. Or I will look for bullish opportunity. There's actually a buying opportunity around here. But I wasn't there to catch the opportunity, and the market went ahead upwards. All right. So what am I trying to say? I'm going to keep saying this. Don't place sales on gold. Stay away from selling gold. All right. If you're at all going to place a trade on gold, it should be buy trades. That's for swing trading. All right. So please always stick to the analysis, yes, the technical analysis, but also keep your eyes on the fundamentals, okay? Because right now, the fundamental and the technical for gold are actually at a divergence, okay? So, guys, just watch out for this, all right? And also keep yourself disciplined. Know when to sit on your hands and know when to pull your trigger. So, let's go to our sheets, our Excel sheets, okay? And let's see what we've actually arranged. Okay, so please take a mental picture of this, or you pause your video and look at this very, very well. Okay, DXY, this is it for AED USD. This is the analysis. Okay, so this is a summary of what we've actually explained in the video, and it should also give you a pointer to what to do. All right, so we'll come to the end of the weekly analysis. Okay, for coming for next week. All right, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to click the like button also, and also the notification bell, so that anytime a video comes out, you can always get notified about it. All right, so please stay disciplined. All right, pull the trigger when you need to pull the trigger, and sit on your hands when you need to sit on your hands. All right, enjoy your week, have a full week, and see you some other times. Bye.